Hey guys, this is Michael Pizzullo. I'm a psychotherapist in West Hollywood. I want to talk to you about gays for Trump. So since the election, I've been really curious to understand this growing movement of people in the LGBTQ community who voted for Trump. Historically, being gay was almost synonymous with being a Democrat, and it was pretty clear why. The Democratic Party had almost always championed LGBTQ rights, while the Republicans had either pushed back against them or had just been kind of silent. So it's kind of interesting to think about how things have shifted from one degree to the other and trying to understand how this has evolved. So I have a few ideas as a therapist who works with gay men, how we've seen this shift. I think the one thing that comes to mind first is that there seems to be more and more of a split between the LGB and the TQ, meaning that it seems as though conservatives are often taking aim at trans and queer rights, but mostly leaving gay rights alone. And if anything, sometimes championing gay rights, like we've seen recently with Trump appointing Scott Bessent, who's the first openly gay Treasury Secretary and the highest openly gay elected official ever in the US. So I think there's been a growing sense of our rights are being addressed not in a universal way, but on an individual basis in the sub-communities within the LGBTQ. The other thing I think I've seen quite a lot, just trying to research and talk to people and get to know their perspectives, is that people feel as though the left has gone too far left, meaning that they do agree that the Democrats champion social rights more than the Republicans, but that the Democrats seem to be out of touch when it comes to a lot of other issues that are more important to them, like national security and the economy and so on and so forth. So it's become more of a struggle for them to decide which is more important. I think another thing too is that there's been a lot of man rhetoric coming from the left. I think a lot of men feel demonized right now in the social sphere and so on and so forth. So if you're, I think if you're a gay man, you're kind of caught between one party may support me more in terms of my sexuality, but the other party supports me maybe more in terms of my gender, and trying to balance those two things. And then lastly, I think that a lot of people are just simply not worried about their basic rights being taken away anymore. Especially younger folks. We saw that Gen Z went really to the right during this election. I think a lot of these people have grown up in a time where they never really had to worry about, marriage equality or just feeling safe in open spaces, which is what we wanted, right? So I think when it comes down to voting, they're not really thinking so much about, are my rights going to be stripped away? Because they never really had to worry about that in the first place. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm curious to hear what people have to say. I try to look at this in a very nuanced, balanced way of understanding people rather than vilifying or demonizing, and just trying to get a sense of what motivates people. And, if we want to get our officials elected, then figuring out how we can best choose candidates and speak to the community in a way that actually resonates with them, rather than telling them what we think they want to hear. So curious to hear your thoughts, especially if you're a gay conservative, really curious to hear your perspective. And I hope this was useful for everyone who listened.